This is Drop Tent Media Network.
There was a girl who came to a show by herself last week. Cute, sat by herself, fine. But then, like, she was like, the other guy who was working the door noticed she was drinking a bunch. Yeah. Again, fine. Mm-hmm. But then
just so you guys know.
She seemed, like, wasted.
Sure.
And, like, I caught her, like, eyes closed, like, like doing this.
Oh, I know exactly where this is fucking going.
And I look over and I asked, like, the one guy that worked there. He was like, she was throwing back drinks. And then she got in line to get another drink. The other guy that worked there was like, should I say something? I was like, sure. Let's chalk it up to bartender's professional. They'll know what to do. It's up to them.
That's legally on them, yeah.
So then the bartender kind of comes out from behind the bar. And then later I was informed, they're like, hey, like, thanks for giving us a heads up. But, like, she is physically disabled. So the bartender has, like, been keeping an eye on it because she needs help with her pants every time she comes out of the bathroom.
From who?
From the bartender. So then she proceeds.
The bartender has to help her with her pants?
And she proceeds to keep drinking and is, like, gone for the next show. And I wasn't told about the disability till after this happened.
Sure.
The second show, I went up and she dropped her phone 3 times while I was on stage, and I just said, leave it on the ground.
Of course, yeah. That's fair,
like,
yeah.
Leave it.
Yep. That is, like, the most mild response, too. Like, that is polite.
But
that
then
is
I
not
get
rude.
informed that she has a physical disability. I feel bad. And then, so, of course, like, the show ends, the bartender helps her, like, leave. But I'm like, and then I was told that it was, like, her first time out of the house since her, like, diagnosis. And I was not informed, don't care what it was. But I was like, she's still wasted.
It's also not on you.
She's still wasted. If someone isn't helping you pull up your pants and you're alone, like, there's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of moving parts here.
There's so many things. I don't know which thread to follow. If you, I say this with love as a fellow disabled person, but if you are at a point where you are going out alone and something as simple as going to the bathroom is not something you can do on your own and you're going out alone, that can't be on the bartender to help you with your pants after every time you go to the bathroom. No. I can't even imagine. Like, there's been so many times that I'm like, I'm not ready to go out yet because I can't walk up a flight of stairs and it's not on somebody to walk me up them. And that's not even pants related.
Yeah. And of course, people try to do this where they, like, try to make you feel. So I know you know the infamous story of my sister and I went out to dinner. And my sister was asking me to be her maid of honor. But while she was doing this, someone shit on the floor in the restaurant we were at. Like,
you said the infamous story where my sister and I went out and I was like, the floor, the shit on the floor.
Yeah. Long story short, my sister is giving this long sappy card asking to be her maid of honor. And I started to throw up in my mouth because something smelled. And I looked over and then my sister looks at me and she goes, there are no dogs in here. Which, like, is haunting.
Right. If there's shit on the floor, there better be a fucking dog in here.
Please, any type of animal. Like, if a wombat walked by, I would have felt better. Like anything. But the server, we watched a server walk by, totally miss it, step in it, slip, walk into the kitchen, and then we're both like, ugh. So we, like, get up.
Slip is the worst
Get
part.
up and move. The slip was hard. It's, like, so seared into my brain. Okay, we were at this restaurant that is, like, outdoor, indoor. It was, like, on a marina. So it's, like, a nicer, expensive place. So we have champagne. We, like, ordered a couple appetizers. But she's seriously giving me this, like, really nice speech. And I just was, like... And my sister and I, at the time, like, we're super close. So, like, she thinks I'm, like, making fun of her. But I literally was throwing up in my mouth. And then we get up and run away. And we get, like, reseated. Far the exact opposite corner of the restaurant. And she's like, do you even want to eat? And I was like, no, do you want to eat?
Yeah.
Like, we had ordered food, so we're just sitting there drinking, not talking, like we had come back from Vietnam. Like, horrible. like yes, it was horrible.
You guys literally saw some shit.
Yeah. And then we got our bill and it's fully everything, even the stuff we left on the old table. And it's like a summer restaurant. So our server was 14 and a half, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And my sister's like, hey, could we actually just talk to whoever's like, managing tonight? And he's like, yeah, gets like, his babysitter, like his 16-year-old manager.
I was going to say, his
the next
manager's 17.
Yeah. No, he gets whoever's in charge, and they tried to guilt us and be like, yeah, we're like really sorry about what happened earlier. Like a customer had cancer. Like, and I'm like,
right. Oh my God. Okay.
That is really like a huge bummer for them.
Yes.
However,
comp my food then. I'm sorry.
Like your restaurant should have been shut down. There was shit all over.
Right. The fact
everywhere.
that they did not get like reported. When I used to manage a restaurant, that's something that I would comp everyone, because it'd be like, please don't tell on us.
Leave. Yes. Leave. Everyone leave. Someone got ill. Like you could have covered it up and made like immediately. And like not even a cover up. Just be like, hey, like for everyone's safety, like we're going to wrap up your food. Everything's covered on us.
Yeah.
Like whatever.
When someone even like throws up at a bar, which is way more common than shitting on the floor in a nice restaurant.
Yes.
People throw up at bars and still you're not allowed to serve anything on that bar.
So the manager, my sister is like discussing the bill with, and he's adamant. He handed it back to us with gift cards in it. And she said, I'm obviously not coming back here.
Yeah.
And she opened the bill, pointed from the top two sections. And this is her infamous line from the story, of which she said, I won't be paying from here to here as we were seated in your poop zone. But she said it like so straight, so deadpan, and I had to turn around because I was like, how is she doing this? Like, this is a superpower.
She's like, she's crushing this.
The guy, of course, is like,
yes,
of course was. And like, he goes away. I was like, obviously comp our whole bill. If we were seated next to physical shit that then got smeared by your servers, non-slips, please.
Human shit too.
So he tried to like guilt it by doing that. And I was like, two things can be true. I can have empathy for someone being sick, but I'm also not going to pay for food I didn't eat that was next to a pile of shit.
Agreed.
Also, I still stand by thinking about this part of it. What do you got to be wearing? A dress?
It just came right out. No underwear.
I always think, I think I wrote something about this story recently, but it's like a little kid. You're like, what just happened? Also, like, to your point about the disability thing, like, if you know you're sick enough to a point that you can't take care of yourself, it's like,
it's not on. Yeah. And like
going out to eat is a luxury, a luxury that is not like a lot of disabled people can't afford to do.
Absolutely.
Also, this could have been someone that wasn't sick. Like, I'm not like against this, thinking this manager was lying about something, because per people throwing up when they're drunk, anything can happen. Also, people get sick. I get that, but you don't need to guilt me. Like, my restaurant experience is not. It should not be impacted by another guest, no matter what.
And if it is, then you have to be apologetic. Like,
not tell us like, oh, someone was sick. And I was like, people, you could have been sick.
Yeah.
You're
also,
sick.
Yeah, I'm sick.
You could have been like, that could have been me if I wasn't wearing underwear.
It would be funny if it was like me and your sister, me on oxygen. He had to come over and be like, she had cancer. Are you sorry?
Like, yeah.
Yeah, we all have fucking problems.
But that's what I mean. Either one of us could have had cancer. Like, it's such a...
Right.
The fact that he said that was honestly the worst part of anything that we experienced.
Agreed. It's so inappropriate.
He could have just like handled it like a champ and been like, if we were the only table that complained, which I don't know how, but you just eat it. Like, we didn't even touch our food.
Also, it's a HIPAA violation for him to tell you her diagnosis.
Also, it was like, did that person get sick and was like, sorry, I have cancer, and walked out? Like, how do you know that? Like,
also, okay, so I do want to say two things, which is there was one time when I was managing a bar that because like basically we reserve the right to not serve. Any bar does, right? And somebody was slurring their words, very, very, very visibly stumbling, all of that. And we said that we are no longer feel comfortable serving this person. And they'd already had like 2 drinks, right? And then it was that the person had some sort of degenerative disease that affect balance and vision and all of that, which totally valid. But then my response was, then I still don't feel comfortable serving you more, right? Like, I'm not saying that you're fucked up and that's why you're acting that way, but I'm saying the fact I don't feel comfortable getting you drunk, right? Like letting you get drunk.
Yes.
No.
Your handle.
The person was definitely just trying to do the thing where they try to push limits and then bait you and then be like, ha, I'm disabled. You're not allowed to say that kind of thing.
Yeah. And you like pulled your mask over.
Right. And we exchanged the secret handshake.
Yeah.
And that was like one of those situations where same thing, where the person was like purposefully trying to whatever. But however, I will say they understood when I said, yes, and now I don't feel comfortable serving you more because it was a bar in the suburbs where everyone who's there drove. I was like, I definitely do not feel comfortable, especially when people are obviously would be on medication or something like that. I was like, if you're already struggling with balance and it has gotten worse since you sat down, I'm not interested in serving you more. Granted, when do you ever have to flag someone after 2 drinks? Usually that's like 6. But for this person, I was saying like your behavior has increased majorly since you came over. But I will say there was one time that a customer, my good friend, an employee, and my old roommate at the time, a customer, she has autism and she rocks back and forth when she's standing there talking to you. She'll rock. Great at her job. Who cares, right? Everyone just kind of knows she rocks. And she fucking
she
rules, dude. And she is the only person at that whole restaurant that is completely straight edge, like has a tattoo for being straight edge, does not drink, does not do any drugs, never has, right?
Doesn't rock.
Does not rock. And I got an email from a guest being so disrespectful, right? Being so mean, being like, I just thought you'd want to know that one of your servers was the most fucked up and clearly tweaking on drugs that we've ever seen, whatever. I didn't even need to look up their name and see where they were. I knew they were in her section, right?
Yeah.
That's an example where I'm like, now I don't mind telling you and making you feel bad because you went out of your way to be so mean. Like, then I would be like, oh, if you're going to be an absolute asshole, like the email was long and it was like, and also I will say she's covered in tats. So it definitely like, she rocks again.
Back up. She's back up.
But like, it definitely just made the person look at her because we're in the rich suburbs in Fort Washington, Pennsylvania. It does not rock. And they were like clearly just on one about her looking the way she looked, visible tattoos, dyed hair, and was like, your server was tweaking and it was an embarrassment and you should be embarrassed for your restaurant and blah, blah, blah. And other than that, I'm like, and did any of your service suffer, even if she were? Because obviously
the email, I never respect the email at home.
Yes.
Say it to
agreed.
the server, like, if it impacted your meal that much, like being in a poop zone, you gotta say something in person.
Absolutely. And I'm sure that, and again, you and your sister were polite about it.
And we never went home and typed an email. My sister was like, we're just addressing this here because it happened here.
Yep.
No one can hide from it here.
You don't need to make a review or whatever, like just talk about it. But this person was also a table that we knew, like they have come in before and they're never nice. And so it was like, now I don't mind being like, oh, yeah, absolutely. Our autistic server who stims and rocks, like, yeah. And I did that emoji. No, she's actually, ironically, the only server that's not drinking on the job.
Yeah.
Because she's ironically completely straight edge. But thank you for your feedback is how we ended the email.
Yeah.
But it's like...
Did they respond?
No, of course not. What
were they looking to get out of that? Like, if you felt uncomfortable with your server, if I truly have been somewhere where like the server made me uncomfortable, I would go up to a host or something and just be like, hey, could I move sections?
Yeah.
Like, don't feel good about this. Like if it was like a gross guy or something, like whatever.
Not possibly trying to get free stuff like people usually are, but usually just comes down to like, I want someone to hear me complain. And like they want us to know what martyrs they are for staying, like what heroes they are for suffering through the unbearableness of having to see their server standing there and rocking. When in reality, like, how long is a server ever standing in front of you, really? Right?
Someone I know, I'll say, recently was like, probably had a few drinks.
It's me.
Was at a restaurant in
me
Vegas,
on Tuesday.
and asked our server if he was from the Midwest. And he said, no, I have a speech impediment. And she said, oh, it's sexy. He was like, what you're hearing is a speech impediment.
A speech impediment and the Midwest being synonymous.
And she panicked and said sexy.
Okay, I can't wait for you to tell me off mic who that was.
Oh, yeah. When I lived in Australia, I had to take if you're going to serve somewhere that serves alcohol at all, you have to do like basically their version of like serve safe, but alcohol. And my like teacher was like basically the gym teacher in Mean Girls. Like he was just like, basically, if you serve anybody, you're going to die.
You will die.
Yeah. And the story of like how he was explaining like what to look for. He told us like basically one of his first days ever serving. He was like, man, you're cut off. You're slurring. You're this, you're this. And the guy had just had a stroke, but like had like a clean bill of health. So the guy then proceeded to tell us that symptoms of being drunk are basically the same as having a stroke. So he was like, so look out for both. Basically, it's on you. Yeah. We were like, wait, what? I was like,
it's on all of us.
Like he meant well at first. He was saying like he was embarrassed, but he was like, but I knew all the signs were the same. He's like, they kind of came up like leaning on one side, like limping, like slurring, like facial paralysis. And I was like, well, I don't know what the moral
and then he
of
teaches
this
you
is.
CPR.
Yeah.
And how to do open heart surgery.
One of the things he said made me think of one of my later rests. That's why I grabbed my phone. Well, just like the rude and complaining to complain. Obviously, I've been working in a restaurant more recently, which is good. I need to work with humans to switch it up for my brain.
Sure.
So that's been good for me.
But not those humans.
Well, people that come out during the day for brunch, if you have a wide enough opening,
a weekday, yeah,
that you can get shrimp and grits in the middle of the day, you got time. You got time.
It was us.
Yeah, it's us.
It's been us all the time.
So you either get the best people or the absolute worst.
We are delights.
So,
yeah. But yes, very much you get the people who don't have jobs.
My later rest was people complaining about things that are unnecessary. Like the thing is not a necessity. Like if you're complaining about how expensive eggs are for your family, that's fair. It's outrageous. Like you maybe like it's not attainable for you to get eggs somewhere else. But if you come into a restaurant, excuse me, where all the prices are quite literally listed ahead of time, you can look it up on a menu and list it out loud to me, your server. What do you want me to do?
You're like, I actually know how
this
much
is actually
it
one of the
costs.
most pointless like wastes of your energy. Yeah. So basically there's people that come in and will just say this for this much? Question mark?
And it's like, first of all, I will say also to the credit of the place that you work, the Dutch, we love. The
Rocks.
The food there is exceptional and also very large portion sizes.
Huge
like you could see that and be like, Dutch pancakes for this much. And then it's like, it's their specialty. Like
people complain about everything, but I just think in general, like whenever I hear someone like, oh, tickets for that or that much, I'm like, yeah, because you don't have to go. Like if you don't want to support an artist, a chef, a whatever to the degree that is commiserate for them to get a livable wage. Things are expensive, people. I know that. But to go somewhere that is in excess, which is a brunch restaurant, no part of a brunch restaurant is a necessity.
You know what's also open for brunch is the Chili's on 23rd in Oregon. And you can actually just go there. If you rocks, middle, I'll say middle. There's so many places you can eat. If you want to eat out and you want to go somewhere, you can go to a diner, you can whatever. But yes, the idea of complaining about the prices of a restaurant that are so easily Googleable.
We have it's not crazy. My family's just pretty neutral about things. But my stepdad once, 2 times he complained about prices. We went somewhere and I wanted to get an orange juice and the fresh squeezed orange juice was like $6.
Sure.
I was a little kid, so I like drank 2 because I got and my stepdad freaked out. Not at me, but just
when he got the bill.
Just the idea that 2 glasses of orange juice cost as much as like everyone's entire meal did. And then another one was, but these were also both down the shore activities.
Yes.
Like the other thing was like we went to the Margate Dairy Bar, and I
what the fuck is the dairy bar?
It's his ice cream place.
Oh, okay.
In Margate.
Sure.
So the worst. And I got a sundae that the way my stepdad freaked out in line when he saw the menu and price, you would have thought like the sundae was going to college for how much it cost. Like it was insane. And like, even if it was like $8, he was just like, this is a scoop of vanilla ice cream, a splash of hot fudge made by a 12-year-old. Like the typical. Yeah. And like he threw a fit, which my sister and I found very funny because my stepdad's very even keeled. So for something to irritate him, it has to be pretty intense.
And the Margate dairy bars will put him over the edge.
Never forget. I will truly never forget those two things. Ozzy's in Longport was the orange juice incident. And then two very expensive places. And again, funny to me because I'm like, you're out as a shore. These restaurants are open 3 months a year. Of course, eggs are $45.
Right. You paid how much for your house, right? Yeah. No, it is true. Like, I think people get like they want to do the vacation and then they start to see how much every bit, like you kind of only budget for your trip. And then
not to be like that person. It's like, you don't have to do this. Like, I get that there's like you want a luxury, you want this, you want this. But there are ways to do stuff on a budget if it's going to bother you.
1,000%. Yeah.
Like, so walking on public and being like, how much? Like, even when people are already places, they're like, drinks are $12. I'm like,
yeah.
And 12 is cheap these days. Like, I'm just like, just eat it. Like, you left your house. Like, either if money is an issue for you or just you are conscious of your money, I think a lot of people do that, but quietly, like look stuff up or like are aware of living within their means without making it someone else's problem. Because it's always so awkward when like someone's like yelling at me about how much an orange juice is, and I was just like, okay, like you screaming isn't going to bring the price down or get you orange juice. So
yeah, and I mean, like the rule of thumb in management training is always that like people just want to be heard more than anything. Like they want to commiserate. And so the rule of thumb is always like that as a manager, you're supposed to basically not just say, I'm sorry, but like, it's like a fight in a relationship, like what a counselor would tell you to do in a relationship, which is like, you're basically like, our training was like, don't just say, I'm sorry, say like, I would also be upset if my steak were undercooked or something. And that is like, I mean, I used to do jokes about this, but about how hard it was for me to be a restaurant manager because I would not be upset about any of this stuff because I'm terminally ill and none of this fucking matters. But I'm acting my heart out.
In a salad before, and I just was like
100%.
Hey girly,
hey queen, if you have a minute,
like bleeding, pulling it off my tongue.
Whenever you have a minute, no rush. Could you call 911?
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you have like a Band-Aid or something little back there?
And then there's the people who their lives are. And again, that's what I always should say behind the scenes is like, if the worst thing that happens to you today is like your enchiladas do not look the way that you thought they had like radish garnish on them and you don't like radish garnish or something that you don't eat anyway, you push it off. It's a great day you had, right?
Yeah.
But nobody wants to hear that, especially at upscale restaurants. Like you get clientele who like, they don't just want to hear, I'm sorry. They want to hear that what they're feeling would also make you personally upset. And you're just lying because no, it wouldn't. I work in a restaurant. I'm a delight when I go out to restaurants. I definitely do that
just like in my like arguments day to day. Like when something doesn't sit right with me, I always have to do a hypothetical, and I'm like, picture you're me. Like
you do that a lot.
I do that all the time. I'm
you'd
like,
be upset, right?
Yeah, I need someone to just say it to me.
It's a human thing, I think. Like you want to feel like because you say that a lot. Where you'll be like, "Am I crazy or is this blank?"
Yes, I always say, "Am I crazy?"
Yeah, like you'll call me and just have like a scenario.
Like, this is stupid, right? Like someone just say it's stupid, but it's funny because like if I'll do it with Josh, he's like, I'll say a situation and I'm like, okay, picture this happened. And then he's just like, yeah, it wouldn't bother me. And I was like, that's not the point. Like, I was like, picture you're me, my full experiences, my brain, my body, my life. And then that thing happened again to you. And he's like, oh, like there's no right answer. Right. I'm like, I just need you to be like, this is something happened yesterday where we're like walking somewhere and I've like freaked out about something for like 45 seconds. And then I was like, was that an irrational response? And he said, I honestly don't know. And I was like, oh, spicy. Ooh. You don't know.
This
and
man knows how to sit on the fence.
Like, yeah, much like, he loves it. Yeah. I wouldn't know. Like
Josh sleeps on a fence.
Yeah, when people get Josh's... He's waking up scared all the time.
He's a battered woman. He just doesn't want to set Jamie off.
When you like, this is such a stupid reference, but Air Bud, when he like flicks the newspaper, that's Josh. As soon as I pull up my phone, he's like, not again.
Don't you dare call that stupid.
Just it was very formative. That scene at the end when he's like, come here, boy, with that newspaper. Yeah. Oof, why?
Yeah. No, it was fucked up.
Yeah, I definitely always want people to just Because sometimes I'm like, I can't regulate. Like, is this weird or is this happening to other people? Much like that girl being drunk at the club. And I was like, is this alarming to anybody else? Am I overthinking it? Like things like that.
I will also say that to your testament, like you are someone who, when you ask that, you're really asking.
Yes.
Like there's been times where you'll ask me that and I'll be like, I'll give a counter argument. Like, I don't think that that is the right. And you are like open to hearing that. Whereas a lot of times people ask that and it's rhetorical. Like
this is crazy, right?
Like you'd be upset too, right? And what they mean is like, don't answer that or just say yes.
Well, it's like, I asked Josh how I asked it yesterday because I was like, am I being irrational? Was like an honest question because I was like, I just needed to hear something else.
Sure.
And he spun it and I was like, oh, that does make sense. And I was like, forget what I just did.
So Josh turned 30 and now he's so astute and he's so with it.
He's so old.
Oh my God. He's wise now. He is wise. So life updates. Josh turned 30. We had a party for him. I still have a little cowboy hat in my car and a little book of matches, which I shouldn't have with my oxygen. But if I'm going to blow up, I'll do it for Josh.
The matches are cute, right?
Yeah, they're adorable.
Shout out Sam Landsberg. His friend made those. Did the graphic for those.
I put the sticker on my sheet music book on my keyboard.
Shout out Sam.
Shout out Sam. Put the sticker on my... Okay. And then other life update. Jamie is medically going through it right now. Earlier today...
Tell him.
Jamie, the hero that she is, taking one for the team, knowing that she's got to be around me. Jamie went through, I would call it surgery. Would you call it surgery?
Yeah.
I would call it, there was
blood was drawn.
Needles involved. Yeah.
I'm stitched up.
Jamie she's doing okay. I don't want anyone to get dramatic about it, but she did get not one, but 2 open heart vaccinations.
Yeah, I don't know why they cut open my chest, but
at CVS.
At CVS Pharmacy Minute Clinic.
So she got, do you want to tell them about what you had done?
Yeah. Okay. Sponsored #Moderna.
If you feel comfortable talking about it.
Yeah. I have a few travel things coming up soon.
Producer and friend Neil Wood here. Brief commercial break.
Hey, hold right there. Don't dare skip this. This is an important message. Me and my boy Albert Davis, we want to tell you about our podcast, Seriously Dad. Albert, why should they listen?
Because it's the best podcast in the world. It's by 2 comedians who are dads. And you know what we're talking about? Being dads. It's called Seriously Dad. Check us out on social media at Seriously Dad Podcast. And
anywhere you get your podcast, that's where we're at. We're funny. We got some great guests coming our way. We cover the topics you want to hear. Check us out.
Few travel things coming up soon, including New York and a family trip and thing. And just December, people are gross. People are disgusting. Like
the kids
if you are coughing even a little, never come near me. I think even if it's a regular cough, go away. So I doubled up. I thought they were going to do 1 in each arm, but they went double arms. But you'll like this. I was actually going to bring this up. The pharmacist, it takes 2 seconds to get a shot, but he felt the need to make small talk, which I guess is good bedside manner. But he cleans my arm and then he's like, because it's filthy nasty. And he's just like, what do you do for work? And the panic in which how long it took me to answer was longer than what it took to give me both shots. And I just was like, and I was weighing out my options, lying, whatever. And then I just I do stand-up comedy. He was like, huh. And then he's like, I used to go to this comedy show. I haven't been in a while. And I was like, yeah. He's like, where do you like to perform? I was like, wherever will have me. People always laugh when I say it, but I'm so dead serious.
It's funny to ask, we have preferences.
And then you're supposed to wait 10 minutes in case you pass out and die. Start walking backwards in case you get diseased.
In case you shit on the floor.
And then get your meal come. So I waited and he came out from behind the table again and he was like, I have to tell you this. Within 18 years of being a pharmacist and asking people what they do for work, no one has ever... You're the first person to say stand-up comedian. And I was like, first person to admit it.
Yeah.
I was like, most people probably wouldn't say
I lie about it all the time.
And he was like, good point. He was like, you're the first person to say that to me. And I was like, okay. He was really nice. And he wasn't being weird about it. Most people would I was dreading saying what I do for work because I was like, do I tell this guy I do comedy, OnlyFans, work at my friend's restaurant part-time? I was like, just not everyone just goes to school and becomes a pharmacist and has one word to answer that question.
Amen. Yeah. I work in
don't you know
sales.
we're in a hustle economy, dude?
Yeah. This is gig world. Okay. I do a lot. I'm an entrepreneur. Yeah. I'm happy he didn't ask you to tell a joke because that's something I'd like to later ask, actually.
People telling you to write a joke?
When you tell someone you're a comic and they tell you, tell me a joke. Comics don't tell jokes. They tell stories. I don't have street jokes off the top of my head.
Knock, knock.
Yeah. Who's there?
Somebody telling you to tell a joke.
Yeah. It drives me crazy. When you tell me that you are an accountant, I don't ask you to do my taxes on the spot. I don't.
I wish.
Right. I'm sure I do know that people, when you tell someone you're a doctor or a nurse, people ask you to look at something.
Yeah.
I have heard that from many doctors before or whatever. You're like, oh, can you look at this mole for me or whatever, which is crazy.
Yeah. Why does everyone have so many moles to look at?
Everyone has moles and no one wants to go to the doctor. And in that same vein, stop asking us to tell you a joke. I will give you you can look up my jokes. I will give you my stuff.
They're going to laugh. What I have determined is someone asked me recently if it was a curse. I was out. I just I went to get a drink after a show the other night. This bar was like closing and there were two people I knew at the bar. So I walked in, sat with them, and someone else walked in and was like, hey, my friend told me you do stand up. I want to try, gave me the I want to try.
Classic, yeah.
And I was like, I'm not stopping you. Yeah. Is always what I say when people tell me I want to try. And then the bartender proceeded to pull out his phone and read to me a premise of a joke he had written down. To which I took very earnestly whenever people do that, if they're actually writing and trying. And, he said the whole thing. But every time I give someone feedback or notes, they immediately are like, forget it. Never mind.
It's like, I don't think you should do comedy then, buddy.
If you couldn't handle me giving honest feedback.
Yep. That is so painfully true. As somebody who teaches those comedy workshops sometimes, oh my God, it's like you just wanted me to validate that it was good. You didn't want any notes.
Or just there's something there, right? It's the same thing we're just saying. I also I say, if people say, tell me a joke, I say, you got to pay for that.
Great. That's a good one.
They think that's funny. They think it's a joke. No matter what you say after someone finds out you're a comedian, they laugh.
They are way more willing to laugh and take you less seriously, which I kind of enjoy as somebody who's pretty dry face to face, right?
You can say a horrible thing.
People don't always know that I am.
For me, I'm like, I'll say something. I'll be like, oh, you look like shit today. And they're like,
oh my God, she is good.
Brendan Donegan, I have to give a shout out because we were on 3 shows together this past weekend. And he has this joke he's working out about working in an office and faking a personality for 40 hours a week.
Great.
And I can't mimic the fake laugh he does, but he says not only do I have a fake person, I have a fake voice and laugh. And the laugh and that bit of the joke has stuck with me all weekend. I've been I
can't wait to hear
thinking about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Brendan Donegan has one of my favorite jokes of Philly comedians, I will say. Shout out to Brendan Donegan. Also, shout out to Tyler Wolf. They co-headlined this weekend.
I know, cute he is.
Tyler has also one of my favorite jokes, being Toyota of Ardmore. A great callback. But Brendan Donegan has that joke about being a dad and framing out a basement. And then he says he wants to go down in the basement, but he can't because there's spiders down there. That joke gets me. His delivery on that joke is so good. It gets me every time. I'm like, dude, I love the spiders joke.
Yeah, he's got great delivery. He really does. I was thinking about, I truly said to someone the other day, I was like, why has The Greatest Showman not been a Broadway musical yet?
It's a great question.
It's in production. I looked.
Oh, it is. Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of surprising when you look up, not to theater out anymore because I'm out of that world, but it's surprising to find out something. Jamie's sure she's auditioning for The Greatest Showman.
This is The Greatest Show.
Is how many musicals that are also movies, but in the order they happened is not what I thought.
Yeah.
I knew Lion King was a movie first and then a musical, right? But there are some things that are they've been around forever.
Then a movie again, you forgot.
And then a movie again. Well, there was a movie and then a movie because don't forget Lion King 1.5.
Correct.
Out of respect. But there's some things that like get made into a movie because they were a successful musical, which is very confusing because typically you'd think it would be the other way around, right?
Right.
Because a lot of stuff is like Shrek or Spider-Man or whatever.
Crazy.
And most Broadway shows, it's really hard to find a Broadway show now that is an original show that's not based on a movie. Like
I was just like,
Back
The
to the
Greatest
Future.
Showman, I think about songs on that soundtrack regularly.
Yeah.
This was a stunning visual movie that would be awesome on stage. Curious how they are going to do Rewrite the Stars, the one that they did on the trapeze.
They will probably definitely do that with flies.
Spider-Man's?
Yeah, they'll probably rock. No, they'll probably put them on a fly system. Like they'll be up in the air.
What if
Like a high budget
Efron
Wicked when the alphabet
does,
gets
like a limited run?
Yes. Well,
Do you think he would?
I mean, yeah. Hugh Jackman has been on Broadway for years.
I know. I was
Yeah.
thinking, I was like, what if they all did a limited run?
A lot of them are from Broadway. Like people who were, they know them from Broadway.
I'd get tickies for that.
I did see a.
Neil, where are you going?
Neil, can we keep talking?
Do you guys want to keep recording?
Or do you want to keep talking about gay theater shit?
You're just like, we're putting on jackets. I'm like, okay, we're to pause. You guys just kept going.
No, I just wanted to put it on for a second.
It's okay.
Can we keep talking?
So, yeah, you're absolutely good. We're still recording.
Okay.
Oh,
I'm sorry that you had to notice me.
Okay.
me too.
You guys didn't have to notice me at all. But
Sorry.
I wish I could forget that
I want to
moment.
make Jamie look even better.
I
Thank
did
you.
see a TikTok that really made me laugh and think about both of us, which was, I guess, because there's this song Dancing Through Life in Wicked where the guy is just very smooth on his feet and that's kind of the song. And he's just like dancing around and it's like very sexy, even though he's famously a gay man, the actor. But it just gives
Famously gay.
Yes. Gay. And he shout out to Jonathan Bailey. And he I have not seen it, but I have heard that it's like a really like, it gets your heart just like, oh my gosh. And I saw a TikTok of a girl being like, I haven't felt these feelings since Zac Efron did Lady's Choice. And
I literally thought you were going to say Hairspray, yes.
And I was like, that and also the
When he winks in Hairspray.
and I'm Link. Oh my God.
Famously gay for me.
Famously gay, Jonathan Bailey. Yeah, so what are we
I had one other thing I need to lay to rest.
Please,
Do you have
yeah,
other
yeah.
things you need to lay to rest?
I do. I have to pull them up though, but
Okay.
please go ahead. Mhm.
My other lay to rest is all of mine have a theme as always, but the when people announce that they look so bad when they show up somewhere, like you don't need to do that unless your friend is visually impaired. You don't need to come in and be like, sorry, I'm in workout clothes. Oh, I look like shit, like blah, blah. Because you're either fishing for a compliment or like you're so uncomfortable. Like, you should have went home and got changed if you're uncomfortable in what you're doing. But like when people are just like, oh, I'm just like schlubbing it up today. Or, like, what am I? No, you look fine. Like, what am I supposed to say? Like, if someone comes in and is like, I look like shit today, I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, because that means you just feel like you look like shit. Like, I don't know.
Or what it often is that you did try to look nice. You just are so insecure that people aren't going to like the way that you look that you're going to start by saying that. So you're off the hook.
Well,
And you
like,
get to be like, even if you do look schlubby, but if you're like, you don't think you look that bad, but you're just trying to say like, you're trying to like get ahead.
acknowledge
It's like
it.
you're
Like
doing,
your friends are going to roast you because you walked in.
It's like your PR tour before you start.
Yes.
You're like, I just want to address it before anyone else
I know
does.
I'm ugly.
I am disgusting.
I just really wrote I look so bad announcements. Like when
Yeah.
people come in and like, it'd be like every time if I was like, sorry, I'm in my pajamas again, you guys like,
Yep.
well, okay, what are you supposed to say to that? Like, we're here, we made it out of the house. Like,
Yeah.
I wish people just like said what they meant. Like if I showed up and was like, oof, I wish I had given myself more time to get ready, I feel less comfortable in a sweatshirt on camera. Like, which isn't true. I'm just
Yes.
saying, like, if you just said what you actually were saying, like if you show up to plans and you're like, oh, I look terrible. And it's like, oh, like if you really broke into that, I'm like, shut up.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's okay. So I guess I laid to rest that this is reminding me of, I think it's similar, but not exactly, but it's it's basically the preliminary PR tour, and it was always a really big thing in the theater, in the auditioning world, which is that people go in. It was like always a thing that we would hear, which is like basically the kind of the old adage being like, you don't get to say you're sick after you do an audition. Like you don't get to go in feeling fine, then realize maybe you didn't do as well as you wanted, and then walk out and be like, I'm not going to get it anyway because I was sick. Because you're just trying to set up the world that like when you don't get it, you have a reason behind it. And that kind of shit drives me crazy. And I was just having this conversation I'm currently teaching a stand-up comedy workshop, and with the students about the fact that comedy is not like they used to tell us in acting school, acting cannot be casual. Like, and you have to say what your objective
really? Like
is.
most actors are so casual.
Yeah, I know, which is really shocking, right? But it's like, even if you're playing a casual role, right?
Yeah.
You're serious about it, right? You like John Krasinski put a lot of work and time and heart into playing a guy who's really coy or whatever as Jim Halpert. But the thing that they would say to us is like, it's a basic acting and performing principle is like, when we ask you what you're doing, like in your acting, you're supposed to be like, this character is trying to guilt this person, right? That's what I'm doing in this scene. If you ever answered a teacher by being like, my character's just trying to hang out. Like it can't be anything with the word just in front of it. It needs to be serious and firm, right?
Intentional.
Yes, very intentional. And comics do this a lot now because they see a lot of crowd work clips and they think that that's what comedy is. And they don't understand all the time that we put into being comics. And they think like, oh, that's just like a cool bro on stage like me. I can do that. And therefore, when a joke doesn't land, they try to fall on I
didn't even want this anyway.
That part wasn't even a joke. Like, oh, if it gets a laugh, then it was meant to be a joke. And if not,
it's like
it was
blaming the crowd too. Like,
exactly.
Oh, you wouldn't get that.
Yeah, right. And it drives me up a wall. And I was saying this to this new class that I was talking to and being like, look, if you are somebody who can't take the risk, like comedy performing is super vulnerable because you have to put yourself out there and say, like, that's why people say to us all the time, I'm sure you get this too. And you tell anyone you do comedy and they go, that sounds like the scariest job ever.
Scary.
Ooh.
I'm scared. I'm scared of you.
You tell them what they do and they scream. Sorry. And it's like, you have to put yourself out there. And it's scary to people because of the fact that if you were just doing comedy, or if you were just at a table of people telling a story in an environment where you're not supposed to necessarily be funny and it gets a laugh, then you crushed, right?
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, you weren't trying to be funny anyway.
I was just looking up Noah Lyles as the track star that ran this summer in the Olympics. But then when he was sick, but like no one knew he was like fully sick ahead of time. So then when he like fell behind and then was like taken off in a wheelchair and he was like, I still did amazing. Like, even though I have COVID, like blah, blah. And I was like, you could have said that before.
Yeah.
Like, or you were sick, not feeling amazing before. But like,
if it was really affecting
MJ flu game, what are we talking about?
Yeah. And it's right. Exactly. And also it's just like it's the hindsight thing. But it's like when you do comedy, what's scary to people is the idea of like, I'm only here to make you laugh. So if I can't, then I failed. And it's like, then you don't get to be a comedian. You have to fail. You have to be vulnerable. And when people just want their joke, like you said about like someone pitching you a premise and they just want it to crush early and right away, it's like, you don't get to then be like, oh, that part wasn't even meant to be a joke. So it's fine that you guys didn't laugh.
It's like when people like know I run a show or like know you could probably help them get booked and stuff. And like, you see them on stage and they got off. They're like, "Oh, I can't believe you just saw me bomb. Like, I did so well last night. I can't believe." And I'm like, one performance is not a good representation of any performance.
Of course,
but it's also that's not what I'm judging on. I'm judging on how you're this performance right now. You handling it off stage.
Yeah, it's your like sportsmanship basically. Like I'm judging you on the ability to just like brush it off and keep going and not just hold on to the fact like
it's like the bad outfit thing. We all see it. We all see and hear what's happening. Like if you walk off stage and your thing, like, and are like, oh, it wasn't my night, or like whatever.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many ways to just own it and be like, you also don't have to address it. Like if I just saw you not do well, you just walk off stage.
Yeah.
And be like, hey, good to see you. Not like, I can't believe you just saw that.
Oh my God, I'm so embarrassed, right? It just makes me, and when you...
Our job is embarrassing. Like, have
It
shame.
is so
Get
embarrassing.
embarrassed.
You have to be able to be embarrassed to, like, to have any performing abilities. You have to stop being so self-conscious and aware of every little thing that you do. And that's what makes, when somebody performs, and even if you're not a performer, when you see someone perform and you walk away being like, man, they were so good and what a pro, even if you can't identify exactly what it is, almost always what it is comfort and confidence. And when you go up, whether you do well or not, and you are so clearly in your head about it, and you tell all the other comics how nervous you were, or how you're just
Crowd
thinking
was
about
tight. Crowd was really tight.
Yeah,
Like,
God, I
it's fine.
shouldn't have said that, or I should have said this instead, or whatever. I don't need to hear your work behind the scenes, right? Like friend to friend always.
Sure.
But like when you're just on a show with someone, that's the work you do before and after, like in your self-reflection in the car. I don't need, but a lot of the time the person who says that is looking for everyone to go, no.
Yeah, you're so good. You're so funny.
No, you crush.
It doesn't matter that you were so bad on stage. You're so funny right now.
Yeah, right. Oh my God, you crush when you're not expected to be funny, right? And it's like, then that's not a skill.
My best shows are when everyone's eating it and we all get off and like talk about it.
Oh my God, I forget who.
And can make fun of each other.
Who the quote is from. I was just reading this comedy book and it was really interesting about, it's a quote from some woman comic who like, whatever.
Boo.
It's about, boo, not funny.
Get back in the kitchen, write your book.
How like you're not going to be good at comedy until a part of you enjoys bombing.
Yeah.
Like because you're right. Those shows, like I have such a vivid memory of a Next in Line show back when they did not have their venue and the crowd was not loving it from the start. A comedian cried. I definitely told you about this.
You'll have to remind me.
Comedian
I
cried.
blacked it out of my brain. Do they still do comedy?
A now kind of disgraced socially due to a green room incident in Helium. Funniest person cried. It was supposed to be the headliner because of the competition they had won earlier. And it was brutal. And then it turned into like the fun thing where all of us who are about to go up are like, I don't want to go. Like you're hoping the person before you wins them back. And then we're all doing the thing where we're like giving the person like a back massage. Like, you got this. Don't let them get in your head. Like,
it's so funny.
And then you get to, the stakes are so low. Then you get to do it for you.
I got up on stage to a tight crowd this weekend and I truly got on after watching friend after friend do fine.
Next in
for
line.
what they're giving. Yeah. And I just got up and was like, you guys will not break me because I was just with my mom during Thanksgiving. Like,
great.
Which I just had the mindset of like, what's the worst that could happen? They're going to continue to not laugh and be rude.
Yeah.
Fine.
Right. Yeah. And I think like, I mean, I will say I was just in LA, as you know, and there's definitely and I'm not the first to say this, this is not a hot take. There's pretty famously gay. No, they have a pretty, obviously, what's the word? Self-conscious culture there.
Yeah.
Of course.
Crowds are.
It's about optics there. And I see this a lot. You definitely know this. If you are an audience member, you are scientifically proven to laugh so much less when the house lights are higher up because you are so insecure about you're then making sure everyone else laughed also.
Or you look good.
Yeah. Or you look good. Right. And same with, about the way that if they don't make people file in and all sit together, when you guys spread out, it's way less laughter because everyone needs to just feel like you're in a group. Nobody's whatever. There's nothing I hate more than, and we've all seen this, when you're at a show and an audience member is laughing at something, whether they have like a distinct laugh or not, they're laughing extra hard and people turn around and look at them. And then you see that person feel insecure and embarrassed. And it's like, you all came to laugh. Why are you, the person turning around, so insecure, for that person.
Yeah.
Because what you're saying is, I'd be so embarrassed if I laughed that loud.
Oh, you're laughing at that joke?
Yeah.
Freak.
And it makes, yes. And that is so much of the LA culture, was so much of like very, very choosy about what they laugh at out loud, just out of the fear of laugh lines and wrinkles forming and people thinking that you laughed at something that you maybe shouldn't have, or it wasn't like the socially acceptable thing to laugh at. Like if a
they're also
comic,
a lot higher.
Yes.
A lot more weed than drinking there for the shows, what I noticed. So they're just slower in their uptake.
And the jokes cannot be nearly as East Coast quick as...
Slow as hell.
So I did, one of the shows I did in LA was a BYO show, which there also means BYO weed. And it said it on the poster, bring your own alcohol, bring your own weed, whatever. And it was an outdoor show. And everyone was like openly lighting up in the front row and stuff. And I'm on oxygen. So of course I made a joke about like,
you're going to blow
we're all going to blow up, right? It did really well. But it was so... I was rewriting jokes as I was watching the way that other comics' jokes were landing.
Yeah.
Because it was like, oh, my laughs per minute here need to be less in LA. I need
90 seconds.
Right. Yeah.
Here it's like 15 seconds, if not more.
And it needs to be like, and then you're adding in, and I was cutting tags really is what it was. Because, you know, like you get your laugh and then you get your second, maybe your third, right?
You can't make them think about too much in between if they're high and slow on.
Absolutely. Yeah. And by the time, because then it's basically like by the time that they have thought about the last joke, they didn't have a time to laugh at it.
Your fourth tag is going through.
Yeah. It was very, very frustrating. I would love to also later rest people being fucking insecure about their laughter. If you're going to a comedy show, laugh. If you're somebody who is insecure about that, and so you project it onto other audience members and make them embarrassed for laughing, you wanted to laugh so bad you actually paid to be here. Like
I've called out someone's laugh recently, only because earlier in the show, her partner said he doesn't like attention.
Oh,
but
sure.
then her laugh was like,
yes,
stunning.
Yes.
And I always feel for people like that because I'm like, oh, she's really just enjoying life. But it is really sounding like someone is just... I couldn't even tell you what her laugh sounded like. And I don't want to dismiss people for laughing, but it was kind of laugh.
No, I think that's different because that person knows.
And it stood out. And people would like... It wasn't like someone that has like a loud, contagious laugh. It was like a laugh that sounded like a noise that stopped other people from laughing because they were like, there's no way someone is making this noise.
Sure. And I think it's different when the comic calls it out too, I want to say. I think what makes people, I've seen these
I've
social
definitely been
things.
at shows where someone has a laugh, you're like, okay, it's not that funny. Like it almost feels like that.
Right.
When you look at that person, you're like, are you this loud or you think this is that funny?
Yeah. Well, there was a show I did at Next in Line last month where somebody was their laugh, we really could not get a handle on their laugh because it seemed like they were sarcastically laughing at us. They were like, ha, 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 like that.
No.
And all of us were like, okay, do you think that they're upset with us or something?
Yeah.
Like it seemed like they were like mad at the jokes or something, but then every joke was not anything that could be, there was no through line between, whatever, but it was.
A fake laugh is something that always makes me laugh.
A fake laugh does make me laugh too. If it's,
I think I always...
When you say the word ha and I hear it in your laugh, that's good.
I always think that's why Brendan's joke gets me so bad too.
Yeah.
Because I know exactly the fake laugh he's talking about. So I feel like I used to make fun of a friend's laugh so much that my laugh changed after that. And I'm sure I've told you this, but people have told me that I laugh like Winnie the Pooh. And I always think about that. And because people have texted me like, because obviously as a comedian, you sit in the back of a lot of shows. So people will be like, I can only hear you laughing during this, or like,
yep.
Tyler was on stage recently and like he does this joke where he's just like, so I have a girlfriend, and it's like a long enough pause for people to either clap or react some other way.
Yeah.
And there was such a deafening silence, like expecting him to just keep moving, that I started laughing.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, thanks, Jamie. Like, and he knew it was me, and I was just like, oh shit.
I was gonna say there's been times that I've tried to like surprise friends at their shows, like comedy or like theater.
Yeah.
And like they don't know I'm in town, they don't know I'm coming, and they're like, I guess you're here. Like you can my laugh, it's very distinct.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, I guess Kirsten's here. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so funny.
Yeah. What would you like to resurrect?
Okay, you're gonna like both of these.
Oh, hell yeah.
Because I used 90s catchphrases
for
what I need to resurrect.
Okay, great.
First one, is taking a chill pill. I think everyone needs to relax, including myself. This was stemmed from myself. My big thing is like when people don't have a solution and are just freaking out, like a lot of it stemmed from like political things where people are like, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad, but have no upswing. Like, so they're just diving into the bad. And I'm like, okay, well, there's got to be a little bit of something you can get a grip on here. And even for myself, like last night, I got irritated or irrationally about something where I should have just taken a deep breath.
Sure.
So I wrote, everyone needs to resurrect, taking a chill pill.
Take a chill. I could not agree more, man. It's not that deep. From the bottom of my
Everyone
heart.
needs to not look at their phone also for the first hour of the day. That rewires your brain for
Agreed.
the day. Like, I'm just like, any day where I didn't spend my morning on my phone, great day. My brain is so different.
Yeah.
And for the first thing I pick up and look at is like, what comedy opportunity I didn't get, who's bombing who.
Who's on who, yeah. Who's on what show.
It's basically comedy news. Who's bombing where and who's bombing who.
It's as comedians who care about politics, all of our feeds are bombings in some way.
Bombs. Bombs in different countries.
Different countries.
My other resurrect was minding your own beeswax.
Oh, I would love to mind your beeswax, and I'd love to hear it said more.
This is more of maybe it's a later rest, but also resurrect. Someone I will tell you later who, if I fall for it, Charlie Brown football style every time, where I think they're like concerned of my feelings or something that's going on with me, and then 3 texts in, I realize they just want gossip about something. And I'm like, mind your beeswax, buddy.
Yeah.
Every time. And I'm like, dang, I thought you were being kind to me, but you're actually just a selfish little prick.
You want the tea, and I cannot get behind it. I don't want to gossip with you.
Mind your beeswax.
Mind you. You are so right. I love both of those.
Just mind, like, what the heck?
Cool your jets.
Yes.
Pump the brakes.
Taking the chill pill.
Take a chill pill.
Jets.
I would
minding my beeswax.
love a world where people could take a chill pill.
I talk a lot, but I think I mind my beeswax.
I think you mind your
like
beeswax
to
too.
share to me. That's different. I'm open to hearing, but I'm not prying.
And I also don't feel like you are somebody who takes that and takes something someone tells you as like you know, when you tell someone
Currency.
something and they get the biggest smile across their face, and you already can name 3 people they're going to go tell about it.
Or it's like that's their hot topic at a party.
Because they have nothing going on in their lives, that they just have to be like, they take pride in being the person who knows everything. I don't realize
it. As I said, I keep falling for it with this one friend. I'm like, I don't realize it till way late.
Yeah. And then you're like, now this person gets to be the person that holds all the information because that's how they value their...
I'm like, what did you want out of this? You just wanted to know?
Yes, that's correct. That's exactly what it is.
Like, you just like, that didn't help you do anything.
Yeah. Yeah, those are great. I am a full supporter in anything from the early 2000s and 90s.
Hey everyone, producer Neil. Looks like we ran out of time on this episode. The bell tolled. Don't worry though, part 2 coming soon. Subscribe now to the Dying Up Here podcast at Dying Up Here Pod on YouTube. And make sure to follow Kirsten and Jamie on all the stuff. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time. Hey, how you doing? This is Neil Wood, one of the co-owners of Drop 10 Media Network and who helps run Biggest Little Comedy. You can check out all the other stuff we do at drop10.com. We've got podcasts, live comedy shows, and so much more. Go over there, support your favorite podcasts, follow them, subscribe. We appreciate it. Again, we're 100% DIY, just a bunch of creatives trying to make it in this, and give us some feedback. We always enjoy a little feedback. Thanks.
This has been a Drop Tent Media production.